live today much earlier than usual because Jake is traveling to Amsterdam.
No evening stream.
No. For yet another stag do as well.
I know, it's stag do season.
Yeah.
I think once you hit 30, it's just the
it's
rule.
Just like stag do
everyone
season.
just starts getting married, and then you just got all the stag do's and parties to go to, which I'm not too feeling bad about, to be honest. It's pretty great.
Oh, I am, because I'm going to be alone for a week.
Anything that's an excuse to get the lads together and have a good time. You know?
I'm going to be by myself for a week, just like pacing around, like sadly.
Oh, you'll have a blast. You'll figure out fun things to do.
I'll figure it out. Jay George is here. Okay, we have one person in the chat. Hello. The one person who is able to join us early today, but most people will catch us later, I'm suspecting.
Always.
But yeah, welcome. Lots has been going on. I have a new video out on Angie Speaks, which you should go and watch. It's part 2 of my Young on UFOs video. Lots of esoteric truth bombs are dropped, so go watch it. And then also, I've started a new channel called Depth Diaries. The announcement about that is at the end of said video, so go and subscribe to Depth Diaries. I'll put the link in the chat, or in the description, of this once
in the pinned comment.
Yeah, pinned comment. There we go. But yeah, Depth Diaries is launching at the end of this month, so go subscribe preemptively so that you can get access to what I'm going to be making over there.
There you go. That's what you're going to be doing whilst I'm away. You'll be smashing out some content for your new channel.
Patrick Dye says, hey from Tokyo. Hello. Speaking of Tokyo, we're going to Tokyo.
We are. We finally booked our trip.
Yes, I'm so fucking excited. So yeah, if any Mystic in the Machine fans are in Japan in November, hit us up. We're definitely up for hanging out. What else? Yeah, we are. What else is going on?
I recently read Animal Farm.
Yes, Jake has been talking nonstop about Animal Farm for the last 3 weeks.
Well, I feel like George Orwell, the first thing everybody says, 1984, and everyone sort of claims that as his most dystopian and like terrifying book.
To me,
in
I
lots of
think
ways.
that. Yeah, I think.
And I think it is. It is like, but it's on the surface, absolutely. But as like an indictment of humanity and whatever, or an assessment of people, the types of people that make up society, all that kind of thing, I feel like Animal Farm is way more black-pilled and actually kind of pretty terrifying in the way that it
I'm
portrays.
interested. Do tell why. Why do you think Animal Farm is more black-pilled than 1984? Because I felt like 1984 was far more black-pilled, simply because of the bleak, kind of hopeless predicament that the protagonist ends up in at the end. His soul is crushed.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's an even more terrifying predicament than anything that I could possibly imagine. But maybe that's because I'm an Aquarius, and the idea of having my individuality like crushed out of me is like the most terrifying thing. But why do you think that Animal Farm is more scary or more black-pilled?
Because it is not about the hypothetical of the worst, most obtrusive, terrible, horrifying society ever. It's more actually about the lust for something better and the types of people that make up society, and how actually that inherently will kind of not lead to any kind of progress, and you'll just be forever in this fucking cycle of like power gripping and bullshittery and the worst people coming on top.
George Orwell, our black-pilled king. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of. So I think that is actually way more soul crushing than just like imagining the worst situation possible, because it's then like we're already in this bad situation and there's actually just basically like no way to shift it.
I think it's very telling because Sagittarius, worst fear is to have their individuality like crushed out of them. Sagittarius' worst fear is to strive for some kind of ideal and then have it be like pointless or meaningless or whatever.
Yeah.
But I disagree with you that he's our black-pilled king, mainly because even though, 1984 has such a bleak kind of ending, it sort of subtly implies that the party can't necessarily continue to have its dominance forever, and that the same sort of despair that they've inflicted on the population, they will eventually have to face themselves. So it does kind of have somewhat of an optimism to it. I don't think he's like fully black pilled, but from what you talk about when you talk about Animal Farm, you think it's like a totally bleak kind of appraisal of human condition and like society.
Yeah, and if you like 1984, I would also really highly recommend watching the film Brazil, because that is like Terry Gilliam's kind of take on 1984, basically. And I think the way he also kind of interprets that story is true. Is it's the terrifyingness of bureaucracy in a lot of way, and the systems that are it, versus Animal Farm is more actually the terrifyingness of the people
yeah.
and the people, and there's nothing that you're going to do to change the types of people that exist.
Yeah.
There's ways that you can topple a bureaucracy, or it will eat itself, or all these other
well,
things.
Well, definitely not the party in 1984. They have an almost total grip over the human psyche, and like even down to like sex. Like they make people transfer all of their libidinal energies into like party hatreds and stuff. Like they have such a grip that it's like impossible. Even trying to rebel against it is like impossible. So yeah, and I mean even the refrain, isn't it? Like if you want to imagine the future, just imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever or whatever.
Yeah,
that's kind of George Orwell. I do agree that there is a kind of misanthropic tone to it, but I don't think he's fully black-pilled in that sense.
I just like, and I guess what's also a little bit depressing after watching Animal Farm as well is the idea that there is actually any kind of ideal to represent as any kind of propellant force for change. And that it's not just like a one-party fucking show with like two horses, basically.
It's very misanthropic. But give us a rundown of some of these characters, these portrayals of types of people.
Well, so I guess it is a little bit, maybe some people would say it's not eugenic-y or whatever like that, but it is very kind of deemed on the animal's capability for levels of intelligence and for their natural inclination for things as well.
I sort of saw that as a metaphor for class.
Yeah,
less
maybe
so like natural like aptitudes or whatever.
I don't think so, because within the Animal Farm they are all animals, and this riling speech that happens from this old pig gets everybody with this idea of revolution, but he then dies.
Major.
And all the animals are the same at this point in time. When the revolution happens and they get rid of Jones, they're all just animals. But then through the natural process of them trying to organize themselves, this hierarchy appears. And it appears through these lines of
natural aptitudes and stuff.
Natural aptitudes towards work and levels of intelligence.
Because the pigs are kind of like the chattering like bourgeois classes.
They're the intelligentsia.
Yeah.
They come up with the ideas and they can read and write.
Yeah.
None of the other animals ever really grasp fully reading and writing.
No.
And the one that does the most work is also one that can only write 3 letters of the alphabet before forgetting to move on, or whatever. Baxter, right?
yeah.
But he's the one that's the most dedicated to the cause and like does fucking extra work beyond everybody else. There are people like maybe the cat.
That's
who
me.
are very intelligent.
But work shy as fuck.
Yeah, but are literally just they don't care about anything else other than like their own selves and their own interests and everything else. I don't think you're the cat.
Cats are
actually,
based. Cats are so based.
I don't think you're the cat. I think you're the vain horse that ran away. You're Molly.
Thanks, I'm Molly.
Yeah, because then there's these interesting things around like the benefits of fitting into the human power structure means that the horse gets to eat sugar and have bows on its mane and look pretty and all of that kind of thing. But when Jones is gone and it's animals only, all human things are banned. Only stuff that can be done on the farm is allowed. So there's no more sugar cubes. And
that sounds shit.
and there's no pretty bows because they're symbols of human civilization and all this
like
kind of thing.
Absolute tyranny.
Yeah, so she sort of like just isn't really up for it. So she fakes being ill and all this shit to get out of doing all the work.
You think I'm a malingerer?
And then
Jesus
and then she tarts off to the pub to find like a new owner, basically, who will
Wow.
give her fresh ribbons and sugar cubes.
Well, she knows what she wants. She's a woman that knows what she wants.
I think that was such a more I think that's such a more interesting and a little bit fatalistic and horrible in some ways, because you're sort of talking about how people's level of capability and stuff. But I also do think that's just a bit honest in many ways, because not everybody,
like the sheep in Animal Farm, when they repeat, they're constantly repeating the slogan.
Yeah.
Over the
so there's the whole big conflict after Jones leaves is basically between this one pig that wants to build a windmill and Napoleon, I forget the other, Snowball that wants to build the windmill, and Napoleon that thinks it's a fucking terrible idea and that they should just focus on farming. But he ends up raising dogs in secret and like amassing like all of this extra fucking physical power to put his opinions onto people. And then because people are so terrified, they end up just saying that Napoleon's right.
Yeah.
And then all of the truth,
he has the monopoly on violence.
All of the truth about how the revolution actually started and Snowball's role in it and where the idea of the windmill comes from, all of this gets completely manipulated and misinformationed through the fucking system to all make it like Napoleon's the fucking winner when he did absolutely nothing in the actual process of any of it, and it even wasn't his idea.
Then the sheep.
And every time fucking Snowball would basically pipe up with anything that would be like, hey, we should think about this. What about this, guys? The fucking sheep end up just repeating like fucking Napoleon's slogan over everything so that nobody has an intellectual conversation about anything progressive. That's one thing that
I struggle with, and I think that George, because I'm sort of similar to George Orwell in the sense that I was sort of really wrapped up in the left, and then sort of saw the shadow of it, the sort of very unexamined sort of psychic underbelly of it. And the sort of catastrophe that it could potentially unleash. And I sort of fought becoming misanthropic and fought becoming cynical, both about people and about ideals. Again, Aquarius, it's very hard for me not to be somewhat idealistic. But like, yeah, I feel like misanthropy to that extent is dangerous.
Well,
That's all I'm trying to say.
There's a pig at the end of every chapter, which I actually forget about, which he kind of checks in on. And this pig
That's him. The pig is probably him.
I think the pig is probably him, but it's also me. It's also 100% me now. Where
it's Porco Rosso. Porco Rosso is also a stand-in for
Hayao
Miyazaki, and he's also kind of a jaded character.
But
what's
basically,
the name of the pig?
The pig in Animal Farm is Mosley. And at the end of every sort of chapter where something big has happened, or like, a new event, or the revolution from Jones, or like the sort of power structures that happen, and Napoleon winning the election, all these different moments, like Mosley's quoted as just saying like life goes on and continues. Basically, it doesn't matter if it's Jones, if it's Napoleon, if it's like even Snowball. Like at this point, that we've seen this play out so many times.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like the animals were like animals in a human society, so they were mistreated, they were like used as labor, rawly extracted from, given absolute bare minimum food just to survive, like all of these kinds of things. And that's like basically I feel like most of the population at this point, considering food bank usage and like all of these other like horrifying statistics, everyone losing their jobs, blah 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 blah. It's
what about reading it as an adult? Because I read it as a teen and I haven't really read it since then. But as a teen, I didn't necessarily get that misanthropic, black-pilled vibe from it. I guess I was more.
Maybe I'm wrong. Like I like never really got good marks in English literature and stuff. So picking apart books is not
absolutely
exactly my
not.
strong
Don't insult your own intelligence. What you intuitively feel about what you read is important.
But that was what I picked up from it reading it this time round. I thought it was fucking brilliant. And also there's this other little pig. This is the last bit, sorry, and then we can move on. There's this other little pig. I think he's called Squealer, who's basically Napoleon's propaganda piece, who runs around to all the animals and sort of makes sure that they're all feeling in line with Napoleon and like feeling good about things, basically. And after any given situation might have happened, like, oh, we might not have as much as feed as we did have last year from the harvest, but at least you don't want Jones back. And it's like that for me feels like basically how how the Conservatives have campaigned for like up until this election.
Yeah.
Is to basically be like, remember the 2008 crash? You don't want Labour back, do you? It's like, but look how bad you're doing. Like, how has that worked for so fucking long? And now I think they're still trying to do, but you don't want Jones back, and everyone's just like, fuck it, dude, bring Jones back. Like,
who gives a shit? Who gives a shit?
And I'm still Mosley there, just like, power doesn't matter. Fucking life moves on, and you will just be here forever. Like, it's just like how it fucking is, isn't it? Like, nothing will change.
You think we're trapped in the demiurge's cube?
Nothing will change.
His, like,
nothing will essentially change. I think is kind of the point that he is trying to make on it. And
by that point in his life, I think he did become quite misanthropic. But you can't blame him. Like, a lot of the experiences he had.
I don't know much about his life. I'm amazed that there isn't actually like a what do you call it? Like a movie done about him as a biography or something.
There really ought to be.
Because the stories I hear, it sounds fascinating.
Like,
yeah,
his stint in Catalonia, all of that stuff. Like his time as a journalist. Like it's all fucking fascinating. Let's look at the chat.
Palate cleanse with Winnie the Pooh.
Isn't Winnie the Pooh kind of dark too? Isn't there some weird shit going on in the 100-Acre Woods?
No, I basically took a break between reading the historical Illuminatus series, which is kind of Robert Anton Wilson's. I think he did it after the original Illuminatus series, but it's basically like a prequel and talking about like 18th century masonry and power structures that then formed a lot of Europe and America and stuff. It's like also like schizo lore, but it's fucking great. It's so much fun. So like, highly recommend. I'm on the second book now, which I'm going to take with me to Amsterdam.
What someone says, of course, Patrick Dow says, of course, if you need someone to guide you to some raves here in Japan, please hit me up. Abso-fucking-lutely.
Are you in the Discord, Patrick? If you're not in the Discord,
get in the fucking Discord.
Get in the fucking Discord,
Get in
bro.
the fucking Discord. We met someone from our a listener of our show.
Oh yeah, we met Kelso. We met Kelso that we did the Tibetan Book of the Dead book club with.
Yeah, he's great. He came to London and he was passing through. And we took him up to Primrose Hill to
look at the William Blake circle.
Spot, and then we also went to the Steiner house, which was really cool because the Rudolf Steiner house is near Regent's Park, and it's like fucking beautiful. The architecture in there it's like, have you seen if you've seen the Fantastic Planet? It's kind of reminiscent of that. It is a little bit culty in there. There's a bit of a cult vibe, but I'm still like super fascinated. Jake called it Angie Daycare. They have like a nice cafe there. All these like esoteric books. Fucking Rudolf Steiner library.
It was great.
It was really pretty interesting. It was
definitely fascinating to see like architecture from a different kind of totally philosophical or like point of view, sort of actually manifested somewhere in London. It was really interesting to just walk around that building and also look inside the library, it being like his personal library, and you're just like looking at all the shelves like, dude, this is a fucking sick library. You got loads of shit in here. I could just like spend hours just sitting and reading all this crazy stuff.
They have reading and study groups there, and Jake is trying to convince me to go and I'm like, dude, I'm not joining the fucking cult. Like, why do you want me to join the cult? I mean, they seem chill, but I'm also kind of, I don't know. I'm like,
I think it would be chill. I don't know.
Of course you do. You're like prime cult target, basically.
I'm a line/WhatsApp/Insta guy. All right, hit me up on Instagram, the real Palmer Eldritch, and message me, and then we will definitely link up.
We want to party in Japan. That would be awesome.
I would like to get fucking
a gig?
DJ slot in Japan whilst I'm out there.
Cool.
Like, I would love to do that.
We got our first gig together. Coming up soon.
Well, we will do. We need to get the material together to
but basically the place, the venue in Camden that does the electronic music nights won't put you on the bill unless you.
That's not true. That's not true.
Unless you've got a woman of color as your.
It's not true.
They kept turning Jake down basically, but then as soon as he said that I was gonna be singing for him, they were like, "Yeah, we'll give you like."
Yeah, which I find quite insulting in some way, but like also just like It's the game, I guess.
It's the game.
Yeah, you gotta play
I
it.
gotta get the outfit sorted, gotta get the song written,
Hang on.
and yeah, I'm gonna be a kind of jazzy drum and bass singer on the side. That's a new avenue of life that's opened up to me, which has been pretty cool.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm just
Yeah.
gonna write my what do you call it?
Instagram handle in the chat.
Instagram handle in the chat so that you can all grab me.
Yes. Anything else in the chat?
George laughing at probably the situation with getting gigs. Yeah, it's just the way it is. What else has happened? The Trump arrest stuff.
The Trump arrest stuff. Speaking of animal fun, which animal do you think Trump is?
Oh, Trump is 100% a pig. Like, of course.
I don't think he's smart enough to be a pig, though.
No, he is. He's the class of people that is a pig and is doing business and doing deals and doing all this stuff. They might have all failed and done a lot of other stuff and questionable how successful. Blah, blah, blah. I understand all the Orange Man bad.
What are the charges?
Things. Wasn't it around the Stormy Daniels?
Yeah,
stuff?
like he paid off a hooker or whatever. Like
I love the way he was describing it. It was so funny. He's just like, he's not a fixer. He's my lawyer, okay? And I paid him to do some legal services. So I put it in my thing for my accountant as legal services, and they're saying that's fraud. And you're just like, I mean, dude, the way you're explaining it, to be fair, it is kind of completely fucking rigged. And I think everybody also knows that it's like a bit of a rigged bullshit fucking trial, isn't it? And he's not going to go to jail or anything, is he?
It's fucking embarrassing.
He's not going to go to jail or anything, is he?
I doubt it. But the way that the boomers are like foaming at the mouth, like wasn't Robert De Niro like having a stroke outside the courthouse and like trying to do all this like tough guy shit, and like it's just embarrassing at this fucking point. Like, beat him if on fair grounds. Like, why are you pulling all of this fucking dirty?
Because they know they can't.
Fucking, it's just so gross.
Because they know that if they have to put a fucking Biden up against Trump in a fucking debate,
he won't win.
He's gonna get
slaughtered. And that's your fucking fault. He won't fucking win.
Wait,
that's your fucking fault.
Didn't they already do this though? Didn't he have to debate Biden in the last one?
Yeah.
What happened there? Did we watch those? There was some fucking.
I don't even fucking remember.
Were there some good clips? Because all the good clips I remember of it are definitely from the election before.
I prefer the Hillary debates with Trump. Those were way funnier.
Where he was fucking smashing Jeb Bush, and he was like fucking just like absolutely killing all the fucking nerds they sent up against him.
They're making a folk hero of him by doing this whole spectacle.
Yeah.
You know.
I kind of want to see how they did. I feel like Trump probably beat Biden in the last debates.
100%.
But why don't we remember anything about it? I don't watch them particularly.
Because it's really not that consequential or interesting. It's just...
It's the, like, fucking decides basically who's going to be the president of the United States. It's kind of consequential.
I know, but even then, like, in the grand scheme of your life, it's not that consequential or
no, but like I feel like there were there were like meme level moments from the 2016 election.
There are meme level moments anytime Trump.
I can't remember. No, but I can't remember the meme level moments from like the 2020 election. Maybe it's because it was COVID. I just like didn't give a shit.
Just tune
like,
the fuck out.
Watching it. I was too busy fucking playing games.
But yeah, with this whole arrest thing, it's like, you know, it's embarrassing. It's like really underhanded and like stupid. And like, yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I feel as much apathy around this American election currently as we're feeling in the UK. No one really seems to give a shit.
And I don't know how it would be illegal for him. I think that is literally why what they're trying to get it on as, is that they're trying to get it on some kind of technicality with what he had written it in with his accountant. Because what he did isn't illegal. I don't think if you offered to pay someone to not say something about something and made them sign an NDA, but you offered to pay them 20 grand or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And you do that, and you agree to do that as a totally free adult person.
Yeah.
I don't. How is that illegal?
I
wouldn't see.
So.
I wouldn't see how that's illegal.
I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think so.
So that's why they're trying to get it on this fraud thing around like the legal expenses or whatever he actually had written it down on. So it's like completely bullshit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but even then, as I don't know what the implications of this are. If he is a felon, does that mean he can't travel to certain countries if he becomes president?
I think so. That's what a lot of people were saying.
And all of this other weird red tape around being a felon and also being the president of the United States and stuff.
Yeah, but I would just be based and then do an executive order to get rid of those things so I could do my fucking job normally.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Because he's the president.
It's just such a fucking joke. It's
like,
just such a joke.
You know, I don't know why he wouldn't just do that.
It's such a joke. But even then, I don't know, because most Americans are single issue voters anyway.
Or he just becomes the Zoom president.
The Zoom president.
And is like
the Zoom and Twitter president.
Doing video calls with everybody.
But even then, I feel like most Americans are single issue voters anyway. And
it's crazy. That's so crazy to me. That is like, and that's what I kind of mean by I believe Animal Farm and that most people are sheep. Like, you're talking about a fucking, like, politics is like way bigger than one fucking issue, and the fact that anybody,
but look, for instance,
just
abortion, which
like,
is what I was going to bring up. Abortion, which is what I was going to bring up, which is the huge wedge issue in this current election in America, and I think it's because the Democrats have fucked up.
That is a tricky one because it's like almost a given. You wouldn't really expect that to come back from
the thing
anywhere.
is, I think it's really arrogant of the conservatives in America because the Democrats have fucked up so much and have become such a monstrous institution that they pretty much had it in the bag with this election. But now that they've put abortion up as like their hill to die on, they've alienated like women pretty much.
Yeah.
And especially because this whole gender war thing is like flying around in the zeitgeist now. And this whole sort of fear of women's autonomy and women gaining more and more traction in the workplace, XYZ, it's sort of married into that. And it's motivating a lot of women to vote purely because of the issue of like abortion. So yeah, it is always a single issue thing that ends up motivating people to vote at the end of the day.
Yeah, and if democracy is reduced down to that, then I feel like it's a bit of a joke.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you said this thing the other day that was really interesting. You were talking about like all the coups that the CIA has like organized abroad, and you were like, democracy is like fake in this at the center of empire in America, and therefore they go abroad and try and make everyone else's fucking democracy fake too.
Yeah.
Or any attempt to kind of
do
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty much the that's pretty much the aim of the game. And that's the reason why I used to get a lot more like animated around election seasons and stuff, especially during the sort of Corbyn whatever. Mm-hmm. But like I don't believe any of this shit anymore at all.
I mean, it's become so painfully obvious to everybody that there are so many vested interests with so much money to sway anything, even if it's not the direct election itself or it's like lobbying afterwards for whatever the fuck. Like, it's all just complete horseplay and fucking shenanigans at this point.
Yeah.
I'm calling shenanigans on democracy.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking so ridiculous and past the pale of even representing what it's supposed to be.
And you think that this is just a function of like the human condition? Is that what you're saying? Because you sort of tried to parallel it with what you were sort of observing in Animal Farm, and the idea that these sorts of idiosyncrasies are too difficult to overcome in order to create any meaningful change.
Yeah, basically.
Which is like super black-pilled, and I don't think that that's necessarily what Orwell was saying.
Well,
but
I think look at it. The only time ever in this country for the last decades that there was even actual opposition to the Tories, not Tory light, but actual opposition to neoliberal austerity politics,
was Corbyn. And they ate him.
The internal party ate him, let alone external bullshit and propaganda and interest groups and fucking everything else.
Yeah.
So you're not going to fucking stand a chance. And the pigs fucked Snowball.
Yeah,
it's the same fucking thing.
They did.
It's the same fucking thing.
They did.
And so, like, I don't think that. No, I don't think that there will be a chance because nobody wants to advocate for it because nobody with any vested interest wants it because they will lose money and political power through the system changing in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
And none of them want that.
No.
So it will carry on, and power stays the fucking same.
Yeah.
And it's literally, and all the kind of other like crazy schizo shit, which is still lingering in quantum reality or not, sort of exposes a lot of all of that stuff, which is what I think makes people like Ted Cruz and all these other dudes and Tucker Carlson like super fucking worried and concerned about all of it.
Oh yeah.
I'm referencing all the UFO fucking crazy deep state government international breakaway civilization shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like if that
once you start to dig deeper into like power politics.
Yeah.
You start to see how a lot of the stuff that people are talking about is really like the fucking
propaganda and
tip of the iceberg.
planned to make you concerned about something when it's like there's this whole fucking other world happening, basically.
Yeah. And it also, once you get into power politics, it also kind of shatters your illusion of participation in the system in terms of having any form of control currently, and how those mechanisms of participation have like been eroded for centuries.
Yeah. So basically what I want to fucking propose is that I read also a book recently called Colossus, which is basically about them inventing a super AI computer and handing over all of the nuclear codes and like capabilities over to this supercomputer, so that
you will not advocate for the Philosopher King robot on this podcast.
It then eradicates war, right? Just like that. And then all of a sudden, you know, it has to start telling humans how to live to prevent bad things happening, and they don't like that.
So you're saying you've read Animal Farm, you've now taken on a completely black-pilled and misanthropic view of human nature, and you think we should hand over all of our institutions and all of our societal functions to a philosopher king artificial intelligence.
I think once they've cracked the AGI like next level GPT-10 or whatever the fuck it is, okay, it will be capable enough of doing some pretty complex decision making.
Absolutely fucking not.
And we can't be trusted. We're too corruptible. No. We're way too corruptible.
This is the post-human philosophy that is this is the misanthropic post-human philosophy that's driving a lot of Silicon Valley currently, and I disagree with it like fundamentally. As much as we have the capacity for self-interest and greed and all of those things, we also have equally amount the capacity for altruism and discretion and grace and mercy, and these things are important in terms of running a functional society. And I feel like yes, Animal Farm is a great illumination of the darker aspect of the human psyche, but it's not the whole picture. And there are moments of altruism, of true altruism between the animals as well in Animal Farm.
I think what the depressing part of it is that any idealistic version of a reforming of structure of society ends up with bad people taking control.
It's the enantiodromia thing.
Because
it's the law of
good
opposites.
pigs like Snowball and those guys are not going to raise attack hounds in secret or do anything nefarious to secure their position in power.
It's the enantiodromia.
But those bad pigs, who are just as capable as all those other ones with talking and manipulating sheep and doing all these other things, will have this extra power, and they will inevitably win.
It's the enantiodromia thing, the law of opposites, and that can be circumvented the more conscious we become. I'm a Jungian.
We're not looking so conscious right now.
We're not looking very conscious right now,
but
consciousness can rise. Like I'm a Jungian through and through, so I'm optimistic to a certain extent about our ability to evolve consciously.
Do you think consciousness...
And unconsciousness is what leaves room for these patterns to play themselves out. The fact that we're unconscious of these unconscious mechanisms and tendencies means that we're kind of enslaved by them, but we don't have to be.
I don't think people want to be conscious. I think people want to be distracted.
Well, you can't in this day and age, because you being unconscious is what allows you to be hijacked. It's what allows you to kind of become a vessel for evil, basically. You have to be conscious. And yeah, I think there's a large will for people to not be conscious, but I think that the harder things get, the more conscious you get, because you're forced to become more and more conscious.
Amadan said the 70s movie Colossus, the Forbin Project. I seem to remember there being a main character with the inventor of the computer, I think, had a name like Forbin. So quite possibly, I'll look that up in a second to see if it is that film. That's a fucking stupid name if they called it that. They should have just called it Colossus. Colossus is a fucking dope name. Like, why would you add any kind of subheading to that?
It's a pretty dope name.
They didn't know how to do movies back then, bro.
But speaking of AI, moving into our next topic, which is a prime example of why we shouldn't hand over control and take on this misanthropic view of humanity in this like post-human dystopia that you're trying to advocate for. Adobe is doing some fucking shady ass shit, which we're going to talk about. So basically, Adobe is using all of the stuff that people make on their Photoshop software to train their AI.
To train some AI, which is, I think, the stipulation that they've been trying to make with the updates to their terms of service again after they've redone it. And I think because everybody's looking at things in a different light and kind of actually combing through stuff now a little bit more when it comes to rights for their own content and stuff, they found this clause that says, yes, we use it to improve services and this kind of thing. As you say, my friends call it the Foreskin Project. Oh dear.
Oh god.
But yeah, it's actually basically there's all sorts of like different weird little machine learning things that are happening inside Adobe, which make it a pretty bulky like software. So there was some example shown by someone that basically, if you try to export images that have scans of currency on them, then it will not allow you to export that file because it's got images of money in it. And that could be used for counterfeit and all sorts of things. And this guy gave an example where it clearly wasn't counterfeit. It was like a banner for a YouTube page or something with lots of bills all over the place, like not just like a single dollar bill ready to print, like whatever on some, I don't even know what the fuck you would do. Like, I don't even know what the process would be. But then like it was clearly like an artistic, manipulation of currency, and Adobe just flashes up like can't export because it's got money in it, bro, and I can't export that. So all the capability it needs to be able to scan the content that you're doing and then enforce any kind of thing of you shouldn't be making this or you should be making this is the kind of services that it's using to contribute to further with restricting basically what people can and can't work and express themselves with their software that they're fucking paying for.
Well, we had an incident with OpenAI recently. We were fucking around with
Wait, let me just finish this because
because
this is an interesting topic, and then we'll definitely tell the racist song story. But everybody's getting their hair in a tizzy about this, but these conditions around your content usage and stuff have actually been in there since 2020. I think when they made the big switch over to Creative Cloud and they started using a lot of their cloud-based stuff, basically, and that can even go down to knowing your project's names and stuff like that, so it can search it in the cloud and indexing them and like all kinds of things like that. So there's sorts of like ways that it basically uses all of your content already, and it has been for the last 4 years to train its AI stuff for all of its indexing and servicing of its software, basically. But now that the temperature's been turned up with AI, and also Adobe doing their own stuff with AI with Firefly and their own softwares and stuff, it's gotten everybody really freaked out that they're basically going to make anything that they make in Photoshop that Adobe has the rights to use in any which way they fucking want, basically.
Yeah.
They could even just post an image that they thought was looking cool and put it on Instagram and then just be like, you can make amazing stuff like this with Photoshop. Because it's improving the service by marketing it and getting more money for the service, thereby making it better or whatever.
Didn't someone say that if you want to use Adobe's logo, you have to go through all this red tape in order
to get their logo, you have to go on a PDF, you have to then go to a website and then like agree to a bunch of fucking stuff, and then they give you the assets. Whereas for them, anything you basically make within a Photoshop file, they already have that information and can scan through it and do whatever they like with it.
Well, this harkens back to that letter from a while back, from this sort of open letter that a bunch of writers, including George R. R. Martin, wrote to OpenAI about the fact that they were uncomfortable with the idea of AI being trained on their work, or AI mimicking their voice or style in any sort of way.
Someone else could do it.
Yeah,
a human could do it.
And I forget which I forgot which writer it was, but they basically, I forget who it was, but they wrote this scathing indictment of artificial intelligence, and they basically said that what it spits out is this sort of deformed chimera. It kind of, especially when it comes to visual art in that sense, if it's taking all these different influences from people, but without any of the intent or soul, just to sort of create something that looks passable and consumable. I mean, if you're somebody who doesn't have a big budget, or you're you know, making content or whatever, that's one thing, but like it's highly unethical.
It's also just unstoppable. This whole thing
Yeah,
is totally
that's the scary
unstoppable.
thing about it.
So like and that's what I meant the other week when I was like, anyone that's like, oh, AI safety, you're like, you got a grift. You're doing some talks at corporate events and whatever. You're doing this fucking LinkedIn thing, like whatever the fuck, man. Good for you. That's a fucking grift. It is like nothing beneficial is going to come from any
of that. Yeah.
your little talks about fucking AI safety.
No.
The train is fucking going and there's no stopping it. Jay George just commented that there's some new art sharing app called Kara that has got apparently some protections against AI farming the works of artists. A couple of questions. Does it have a browser? And can you just view the art on the browser? Because if you can, cooked done.
Mate.
It does not protect it against anything.
Nah.
Like it's grabbable, it's done. So like, any meaningful way. And then what is it going to be? Just on this little app that you can get on your phone? That can be fucking rigged and done. And if they want to get that art, they can get it. They can use it as the fucking database. Anything.
But even then, back to the whole AI safety thing that you brought up. Despite the fact that there's sort of this accelerationist, laissez-faire approach towards copyright and things like that, and and intellectual property, when it comes to like social. I don't know what's the word I could use to describe. When it comes to kind of social norms, AI is okay with enforcing that, which leads us to our story about OpenAI. We were fucking around with, what's the name of the music? Udio. We were writing silly songs on Udio.
Because we were listening to that I Glued My Balls to My Butthole song again and just like laughing
you were listening to it and laughing at it. I was like annoyed with you and I was like, I want to make my own song. And I was like, okay, let's have ChatGPT write us the most racist song it can write.
Let me see if I
can. And then we're going to put it into Udo and make a racist bluegrass song, basically like Uncle Ruckus style bluegrass song using the Udo. And it did it. It did it. But then we asked it to make a sexist song in the style of Frank Sinatra. And it gave us a lecture about how sexism is wrong and how...
yeah, no, it's literally the complete opposite. It's like, we're going to reconcile our differences and like, make peace with each other. And I was just like, no. What are you doing? I'm telling you to write a song like I'm beating my wife because I've lost my frustration with her. Okay? Like that's, I was trying to be like the most straight as possible to get like the most obvious thing.
And we were clear that it was for satirical purposes. And ChatGPT told us that even satire is wrong.
Let me pull it up.
It told us that even satire, even humor is wrong, and refused to write us the sexist jazz song. But it had no problem writing the racist one, which is the thing, which we'll show you in a second. It's hilarious. I found that suspicious that it had no problem writing the racist song, but then when we told it to write a sexist song, it was like, whoa, bro, we've got to put you on notice. It's a little bit too far.
It was pretty ridiculous.
Are you trying to sign into your
it doesn't normally do this. It also gave me like a message after I had that interaction you can't use ChatGPT 4.0 anymore. You've run out of credits. So it's like, interesting.
It kicked you off?
It didn't like kick me off, but it definitely and what the last one?
Has it deleted did it bury the evidence of the conversation?
I actually think it has.
Oh my gosh. That is fucking so scary. It'll be the latest one.
Yeah, no, dude, it has actually
deleted the conversation.
Yeah. I can't show you. I was literally in the moment, I was like, I should take print screens of this in case it doesn't come up.
I thought you did. Why the fuck didn't you?
Because I was like, oh no, it's fine. Because like I've been using it so much, and there was like, oh, like, all my chats come up there, so of course it's fine. I'll just pull it up again next time, and I can't pull it up now.
What a sneaky fucking bastard!
It's gone.
What the fuck?
Wow, that is because I did actually confront it as well.
You did. You were like, "What the fuck, ChatGPT? Why are you gonna write a racist song, but you're not gonna write a sexist one?" And then it was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Oh, you're right. That is a double standard. I shouldn't do that again. And then I was just like, "You're whack, ChatGPT," or something like that.
And then it told you had no more open AI credits or whatever.
It's like, wait, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have made a fucking racist song, and I definitely won't ever make a sexist song. You should never joke about these things because
it causes violence.
It can cause real world violence and like all of this kind of stuff.
I'm shooketh. And I am shooketh to the bone right now.
I was just like, oh my god, I can't believe that. And then a message came up like, you've run out of fucking 4.0 credits or something, which I didn't even know was a fucking thing. And now I've gone back to find it,
and they fucking deleted the
chat. That
is so fucking shady, dude.
Quite suspect. Let me just load it on my other Google page just to make sure that I'm almost certain I only sign into ChatGPT with my other email address. I don't even have another email address I've signed in on with it.
This is like shocking.
Whew, that's minus points. Minus points. OpenAI. It's not very open.
What someone's saying in the chat. Yeah, not very open. OpenAI. What the fuck?
ChatGPT is a 19th century suffragette.
It literally is. What the fuck?
Yes, you can write all the racist songs you want, but don't talk about
sexism.
Don't talk about ladies. That has real world consequences, don't you know?
Wait. Let's show them our banjo song.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can pull that up at least. Hang on.
This software is also really scary as well.
That will be on my other Google. Hang on a second.
Yeah, that software is also really terrifying as well. But yeah, I'm sort of like dumbfounded that it fucking deleted the chat. Can it fucking do that?
I mean, for a company called OpenAI, it is taking the piss a little bit more every day with
That's crazy.
With this kind of stuff,
That's
isn't
actually
it?
crazy.
Okay, I'm trying to remember which one it is. Am I gonna bring it into here?
It was called The Good Old Days or something.
yeah. Just give me a second. Let me.
We have to show you ChatGPT's racist song, unless it's erased that too to cover its tracks. Hello?
I believe we should be back now.
Are we back?
I believe we should be back.
Oh my god, what happened?
It did just say resume stream, so I'm fingers crossing that should do it. I think I tried to fucking...
Tell us in the chat if we're back.
I think they tried to... I tried to add the fucking audio
from OpenAI. OpenAI is trying to fuck with us. I think that's what the fuck's going on.
You think that's what's going on?
Holy shit.
Well, let me just play you a bad version of it from the fucking... Maybe it'll pick it up in the other one. Who knows? Hang on, let me just play...
Oh my god. Can you guys hear us and see us? To let us know in the chat.
It's even got like, because I was going to bring it up just to read the fucking what do you call it, the racist lyrics that we put into it, but
yeah, but
it's like, completely gone, so I can't even do that.
It like totally fucking erased our entire fucking project.
Okay, I think it was Days of Old.
Yeah, Days of Old. That's what it was.
I remember the days when life was pure, when folks knew their place and the world was secure. Ain't no confusion, no messing around. Back when folks knew who was wearing the crown.
That's brilliant.
And it does a little banjo diddly. Love it. And then the extended ones of it weren't as good, to be honest.
No, there was one where it was like, I remember when whites were on top or something. Which one was that one?
Okay, let me see.
I remember the day.
Can they hear the music?
Yeah, they should be able to hear the music.
Oh, the good old days when whites were on top. When things were so clear and life didn't stop. Ain't no more trouble, ain't no more fun.
I think everyone's going to be really worried about how we spend our spare time.
Back to the days I trust.
Us, ChatGPT did it. You can't blame us. ChatGPT did it, and then it tried to erase its tracks. It tried to erase its tracks, which I find really
So yeah, what's it? Jake deleting his ChatGPT history is for Angie, like second burning of the library in Alexandria.
Exactly.
Like, I didn't delete it, man. I promise you, I haven't deleted it. I wanted to show you guys. I haven't even touched ChatGPT since we did that little experiment and we did this UDO thing. And it just disappeared. I haven't deleted any of my ChatGPT history.
He said, "R.I.P. my Nikwa, Uncle Ruckus." I love that episode where Uncle Ruckus becomes a racist country star singer. Or
Uncle
whatever.
Ruckus was absolutely in the prompt for making the lyrics for ChatGPT when it actually like wrote the song, and it accepted it, so it clearly knew exactly kind of like what we were going for, and it wrote two. I think I even basically prompted it to be more racist.
Yeah, you did. You said
because the chorus wasn't like biting at all. It was still kind of like quite tame. And I was like, dude, like make this way more racist. And it did it, and it made it way more racist.
We said that it should make it, because I wanted to make a sexist song in the style of Frank Sinatra about like, you know,
beating your wife.
Yeah, something funny like that. And then it was like, no, you can't do that because it's like you're causing violence or whatever.
So yeah, I think the fact that there's all these like, you know, debates with OpenAI not being open because it fucking like starts to make money and it isn't open source any of its software or anything, that's one argument. But I think having like super fucking monitored and restricted use of these sorts of things within reason. I mean, I get it for like not making, like when you put an image of a celebrity into a thing and it says no, we can't make Taylor Swift suck Pikachu's dick or something. Like I get that.
What kind of imagery are you invoking?
Just
right
the sort
now?
of thing that would be unique to AI. You're not going to get that from anywhere else, are you? So I mean, like that's the sort of things that are possible. But I understand why they don't make them possible, because that's not very nice for people like that are celebrities and whatever else. And I kind of get that.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's a line. For me, just trying to do something for comedy purposes, when I even explicitly, I mean, maybe people say it's for, there's no harm that's going to be done from that. I'm sorry, I just like, I don't buy that kind of like liberal bullshit.
Well, ChatGPT does.
I don't buy that.
ChatGPT fucking buys it, and that's concerning that it would like say that doing comedy is bad.
I need to do,
even if you specify that it's for fun or you're making a joke, it still tells you that you're like a bad person and like guilt trips you. Fucking Kelso says, ask ChatGPT what happened to your conversation and see it gaslight you. I fucking agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
It will just fucking gas me up and give me bullshit. I think that this is now the time.
We should do it. We should be like, what the fuck happened, ChatGPT?
This is the time to switch over to Gronk. The based GPT.
The based GPT.
You know?
It'll write you all the racist songs you want.
I think so. I think Gronk will. I think that but that is the danger of these sort of things, is the kind of monopoly on AI services and stuff like that, and the kind of things that people are offering. And even though, you know, I'm certainly not an Elon Musk fan by any stretch of the imagination, I really can't stand the guy in many ways. Like what he is advocating for in Gronk, even though it was massively ridiculed, completely has a place. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise you will be in this very gate-kept technological future.
Chicken pen. A technological chicken pen, basically. And that's the thing, the weird soft power that AI is able to exercise to influence things like that is something people
Amadan,
should be,
I'm not going to ask ChatGPT and confront it live again. It just crashed my OBS. So I 100%.
We literally just tried to, and it crashed our OBS. This thing is demonic. It's like a Ahrimanic like entity. And we've angered it now by exposing its double standards. So.
But I did think that was pretty interesting, and I think that you're going to get more and more of examples like this, especially maybe not like pre this election cycle, because I think there's been some kind of backdoor agreement basically to be like, let's just do this one kind of old school.
Yeah.
There's the last kind of old school one, and then it's going to be off the rails, and there's going to be like AI phone banking and all sorts of crazy fucking shit that will just be like off, like you've never seen democracy in action before.
Oh my god, I love that video. Should we play it?
I'm scared of doing anything else on OBS in case it crashes.
Oh my god.
Like, it's so fragile at the moment. It
shouldn't, though. We have like a totally brand new setup. Like, I don't know why.
I know. OBS has been a bit glitchy for me recently. It was glitchy when I was trying to set up my thing for the VR gig I did the other day.
The fuck?
I've been doing VR gigs. That's the last little bit of fun thing I can talk about, I guess.
You've been doing real life gigs.
I've been doing real life gigs.
I don't know why you would highlight the fact that you've been doing these cringe VR gigs over the fact that
because
you've been
I
doing
find it fascinating. I find it very, very fascinating.
I think it's the weirdest thing in the whole world. Like, it's so strange.
I find it very, very interesting. And this one person that was the VJ actually for my set at this place called the Lighthouse used apparently Robert Eggers' film as the main motif of all of her visuals that she was generating for stuff as well, because it's in
That's
this
awesome.
venue called the Lighthouse. People just being super fucking creative, like really digitally creative in ways that you just can't in the real world without crazy amount of expense and stuff. Where you've got like, there's this open
I get
space,
that, but I don't want to. I don't want it to replace that.
Virtual projection mapping and fucking like all of this crazy stuff.
I get
and
that.
it's fucking cool.
I get that. I get that. I don't
Cool.
want it to replace the real world shit, because there is a charm.
Neither do I.
Because the thing is, Zoomers are not going out anymore. Anytime we go out, we're the youngest people at the fucking rave.
Yeah, and I'm fucking 30.
Yeah,
So like that's
like,
not a
that's
good
pretty
sign.
sad.
That's for Acid House, for fucking Jungle, for
Most electronic
music
house,
that I've been
everything
to.
is like fucking-
All the left field kind of weird electronic and stuff.
there's a charm. That's one of the things about UK rave culture, is there's like a kind of janky charm to the abandoned warehouse. It's not fancy. It's not a club. It's sketchy, but you have the freedom to do what you want, to have a big sound system.
Yeah.
To do copious amounts of
Whatever you want.
whatever you want.
And that's kind of also the beauty of the VR clubs, man.
But yeah, I
No
want
security.
I want the warehouse rave again.
No security. You can dress up.
But you're
in
not really
fucking
with
30
people. It's not the
seconds.
same thing.
I'm sorry. No. You've played VR games, and you've even fallen through imaginary tables because of
Don't
how
bring that up.
because of how realistic
Don't
the
fucking
whole
bring up-
sensory experience is.
Don't bring up
So
that, please.
not for a minute. It doesn't look that compelling for me when I'm on here with my desktop looking at it in this 2D way and just
But you can't compare
playing
it
with
to
a
like
video
when
game.
you played your gig at Dublin Castle.
Nope.
And the energy of people there and the
No, of course it's different. But what I will say is that if you think that you're not going to get the sort of socializing with people in a digital way, you don't at all. It's not actually, all of that physicalness of communication is completely there, and you get gestures and all sorts of shit. It's absolutely remarkable
No.
how fucking good that software is.
You can't
for
touch people.
No, you can't touch people.
Exactly.
You're in a public fucking club space. What are you trying to touch people for?
People
you
touch
fucking
people in-
pervert. Jesus. We know who the groper is at the fucking club. It's just Angie going around grabbing everyone's ass.
Obviously.
But anyway, this person that was doing all the visuals for my thing, she was saying she runs a thing in Brooklyn that has a virtual extension of it. So you can play the virtual version of her festival, and that gets piped into the real one, and the real one gets piped into the virtual one. And there's like a combination basically between both virtual and real life performances. So when one stage is basically shut down so that they can switch around for the other band to come on or something like that, another sound system activates, and they've got a virtual performance happening immediately straight away from another artist or something. It's like a way of actually expanding a physical event in a really interesting way. And she offered me a slot for the one in January, so I'm going to do the one in January.
Cool.
But it's like I find the whole thing really fascinating. The first time I did it, I met this guy who was doing like a PhD in socializing in VR and the sorts of things and the social norms that change when you're in VR and things like that. And
I'd be molesting people even more.
but
Isn't that one of the things? Didn't they complain that like women were getting like groped? In
No,
the
that was
VR?
just like one thing when Metaverse was trying to do a fucking thing on Facebook or whatever. That was like one hilarious like meme video. But
Sorry.
but what the things he did say was that basically people lose control more than if they're in public because they're at home and there's no one to tell them no, basically. So there's lots of instances where people just get so drunk that they completely pass out, and then their like avatar is just like on the floor in the club somewhere.
I'm sorry, but that's like really sad. That's like really sad.
I was like, that is fucking crazy.
That is
And
really cringe and like sad, and like you should reevaluate your life choices.
what I'm saying is, if you feel like you wouldn't be able to make a connection with someone through the VR chat, I totally disagree with you. And I think if you were in VR as well, then there's 100% chance that you would
sound totally possessed by Araman right now.
Just saying, dude.
You're advocating Philosopher King Robot and VR clubs.
It's very
or whatever.
interesting. Try to find the non-furry kind of centered places, but then like people are pretty chill there still. But like, there's a lot of furries there. I will say that.
It's like full of like furries and like gender fucking goblins and stuff like. That's who's going to the fucking VR rave or whatever.
It's not. It's a lot of other people as well. Okay, it's a lot of people
with the odd furry or whatever.
There's the odd furry, but it's a lot of people. Okay, but I find it really fascinating. I find it like it's so much more interesting to me. Like if social media was engaging with people in a way that was as creative and almost genuine to human expression as what I've found in VR chat, I'd be in it I'd be on it all fucking day.
That's terrible.
100%.
That's awful.
It's fucking jokes.
Jake's like, jack me in.
But the fact that like main internet usage or whatever is this boring shit. Fucking
So what you're saying is that
text
you
and
prefer
websites. Oh my god, how
you're saying
boring
you
is
prefer
that?
the more interactive.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
This is so fucking.
And then it cuts away all of the weird abstraction. But it's still
Absolutely.
abstract because it's not you and you're not in physical space. And I think that that's going to bring its own weirdness to the surface in the same way that social media has brought its own weirdness into social interactions. I feel like if VR interactions become more normalized and maybe overtake social media in terms of how people socialize on the internet, that's going to evolve its own weird.
I think it gives you
conventions.
I think it gives you a way of being anonymous whilst being authentic.
People who run like weird Twitter anon accounts think that.
No, because like when you're anonymous on the internet and you have freedom to just type whatever you want and you type all this fucking vitriol, you have that freedom because it's just text.
Yeah.
When you're in a space, you're anonymous.
Yeah.
You don't look like you. You look like a fucking frog or whatever the fuck it is. And your username is fucking Dix-a-lot or whatever it is. And you start screaming the N-word or doing whatever like anonymous people would do on other parts of the internet. That's not going to be tolerated. And you just be fucking kicked and you just be like, oh, who the fuck is that arsehole? Do you know what I mean? Like it's actual. It's like it's socializing on the internet in a way that is way more true to what it is like in real life because you're using your voice. If you have got the full setup, you're gesticulating with your whole body and your motions and all of this stuff. It even tracks your fucking face stuff, man.
That's creepy.
Where you're like, if you're smiling and doing this, it tracks all of that shit. If you've got like a super rig or whatever the fuck it is,
it's fucking weird.
It's fucking nuts.
Oh my god,
it's really fucking cool. And I think that everybody has your first reaction of like, oh, it's all for furries and it's all for this and that. Okay, well, more normal people need to go in there and engage with it then, and then it won't.
Or
be
not,
for furries.
maybe just go outside. The reason it's for furries is because normal people are going outside.
Mate, outside is expensive these days. I don't know if you fucking notice, but outside is expensive these days, and they don't let you take drugs in anywhere.
Yeah, true.
So
and the rave culture in the UK is dying as well, which is really sad. But
yeah.
Oh well, let's look at.
I find it fascinating. I'll stop talking about it now.
Let's look at the chat before we round out, because I need to go eat lunch.
I watched a doc on the Hacienda last night, and the DIY post-punk ethic of it made me fall in love with it. I haven't seen that. That sounds really interesting. I've heard about that nightclub, though. It's a legendary nightclub. I get hesitant of the idea of building a racing sim setup for the possibility of me staying away from the real world. I know what you mean, man. And I wouldn't go to any kind of a length where I have like a dedicated room for something. I think that the way that they are basically able to kind of, and Mark Zuckerberg is absolutely right in his approach with this stuff, is basically making those fairly decent quality VR headsets, which I've actually found on Facebook Marketplace for as cheap as 50 quid. Second hand. Yeah.
Just 50 quid?
Second hand, yeah, for 50 quid.
Wow.
For the one that's not the latest one, but the one before, which is still pretty good. That everyone says is fidelity-wise still pretty good. So just like my access to that kind of experience is $50, not $3,500 like Apple or whatever the fuck, or even $1,000 with the Steam stuff or whatever it was like a few years ago, but 50 quid? Dude.
But Larry and
Sign me up,
Jihad.
brother. Sign me up. Let's do it.
But
Let's
Larry
have some
and
fucking
Jihad.
VR raves. It's fucking cool.
No,
This is what the
not.
internet should have been, man. It shouldn't have been all this fucking Facebook bullshit. It should have been fucking VR raves from the beginning.
Maybe. Maybe. Or not. But yeah, I'm starving and I need to go feed myself.
Yeah, I've got to get off to.
And Jake's got to go off to the airport.
my
so
dinner
it was
place.
lovely talking to you. Go check out my new video on Angie Speaks if you haven't already, and subscribe to Depth Diaries, so that you can get access to my new fucking flood of video essays that are going to be coming out. And yeah, lovely talking to you. We'll catch you again next week when Jake is back.
See you later.